Alright, I'll fix the problem with the hammer lever. It's now in its correct position. I'll just put the spring over that. It's got it loaded again. I put the rack stop lever in. I've put the wheels in. We're now ready to put the mainspring barrels in. So we'll drop them into place. The going side train, it's just about there. I know what the problem is. It'll fall into place as soon as I push this click back. That's what's holding it out. It should now just drop into that hole there. It's not right through yet actually. There, that's got it pressed into place. Alright, first one in. Now, strike side and slide it into place. Pull the click out and it drops straight in. Alright, there we go. They're both in place now. Right, now we'll start putting on the pieces on the front. The first one we'll put in will be this piece here that secures both the barrels. So as usual, using my screw holding screwdriver, put the screw in part way, remove the screwdriver and then get a normal screwdriver, blade screwdriver, push it into place and click it down. Those clicks seem to be strong enough for now. Right, now we're going to start putting the other pieces in. Take that out of there. This is the first one we're going to put in and it goes there. Get it positioned at the back. Drop it into the hole. There it is. It sits on top of the gathering pallet there. Now we've got a hole there. We're going to need a tapered pin to put in and we're sure not going to use any that we took out of it. So I'll get a tapered pin, we'll fix that up and then we'll put it into that piece. I'll take that lever out for a moment. It'll be easier for you to see while we're selecting the size of the tapered pin. And I think that's about the size we're going to need. No, that looks like that may be going to go all the way through. Yep, it does. All right, so we'll have to go up a size on that. Next size we've got is 0.6 to 1 mil. So we'll try one of those. We'll leave that there for a moment and get a black felt tip pen and we'll make a mark on the base of that tapered pin there that allows about 1/4 inch. I hope that's marking. It doesn't look very strong. No, it's working. Now we want the same amount of tapered pins sticking out on the top. So once again, we'll put a mark at about 1/4 inch. Now that's working all right. Didn't look like it was, but it is. All right, I'll just remark another side of the bottom there and we'll be right. Okay, before we remove the taper pin, which is sitting there, I'll set up the vise that we're going to use and then we'll finish off the taper pin. All right, now I'll take the tapered pin out of the lever, pair of pliers holding it tightly, and using a cutter we'll cut the end off on that black mark, that end. Then turn the tapered pin round again, back into the pliers, hold it tightly, and then align the cutters with the mark on the other end. So what we've got now is a little tapered pin like that with two very rough ends on it. Now we need a pin vise with a very small opening in it. Pick up the tapered pin, pair of pliers, hold it and put it into the center of the hole in the pin vise. Yeah, that looks like it's in the center and it's tight. All right, so we're now ready to start finishing off the tapered pin in the way that they should be done, not just have the end cut off and just thrown into a movement. This is a bench vise I use for doing my tapered pin work. It's got a piece of hardwood in there. You can see there's a couple of grooves cut into it there, so I can lie the tapered pin into those and they're not moving backwards and forwards when I'm trying to work on it. I'll actually bring that tapered pin out a tiny little bit. It's not very big and there's not a lot of it out there. Still not much, but better than it was. All right, first thing we do is we run the file, whether it's a pivot file or any fine tooth file, doesn't matter particularly, but it has to be fine tooth. We run that directly across the face of the tapered pin at right angles to square the end off. Yeah, that looks alright. That's square. Usually when the taper pin is bigger than this, you have another 1/4 inch or so sticking out there, and you can work very well within these grooves. But for this tiny little guy, it doesn't work. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to roll the file at 45 degrees across the side of the tapered pin like so, and then while we're doing that, we'll spin it round like that in our fingers so that we can get a pretty good 45-degree bevel on the tapered pin. Not easy to do if it's not in that little groove down there, but once again, concentrate on it. We don't want that end to be sharp. If you've put a little bit too much of a 45-degree bend on it, take the pointy bit off, because that end has to be flat. Alright, now, without losing the tapered pin, we'll take it out and spin it round and reverse it that way into the pin vise so that we have access to the other end. Put it into the center there. First up, we'll square off the front of the tapered pin, the front or the top, whichever you prefer to call it. The top, I suppose, would be more accurate. There we go. Now, once again, 45 degrees, spin it round in your fingers, slowly advancing all the way around so that you end up with a 45-degree angle neatly filed into the other end of the tapered pin. How does that look? I'll put it over the timber, will be easy to see. Spin it round. Yeah, okay, that looks good. Alright, now back to the movement. Alright, put the lever back in again, align it into the back plate. Then with a pair of tweezers, being very careful because we don't want it to jump out and disappear into the room somewhere, because we'll never find it, it's so tiny. Align it over the hole and drop it into place. You can see it sitting there now. So what we've got to do is use a pair of pliers, push the top down into that lever. That is now complete. Alright, let's get our hour wheel and the snail. We'll put the hour wheel on first, which goes there. Then we'll put the snail on. Alright, now on top of the hour wheel, we have a C-clip that sits on the top of that. A C-clip sits there. And I'm going to have to use a pair of pliers to push that in to get sufficient strength to do that, because a pair of tweezers won't hold it. Right, now the rack goes on next, which fits on there and drops over the top of the snail, and we've got another C-clip that goes over the top of that. This will just spin the wheel around, make sure it's lifting. Right, we'll get that rack stop lever out of the road, and that'll sit down there. The gathering pallet can't at the moment because that's caught there. The gathering pallet will spin round and it will raise the rack up there as it runs over and drops into the individual holes or dents in the snail. Alright, well, what else have we got? We've got to put the suspension spring and stuff on the back. That's what we'll do now. I'll clean up my desk a bit, it's a bit of a mess, and then we'll get back onto it. Turn the wheel. The first wheel on the strike side, and you can see the gathering pallet in the rack, and then it drops down and stops. Alright, well, they all seem to be in good condition. Alright, now we'll put the pallets and the crutch into the movement. Carefully align the pivot, and there it sits there. It's got that. Now I'll get my screw holding screwdriver and get a screw ready to put into this. Line it up with the slot, push it down, that'll hold it for the moment. Now we don't put the screws in there and tighten the back cock down, because if you do that, you're not going to be able to get the suspension spring and the crutch set up properly. There's the suspension spring. So what we'll do, we'll drop that into the crutch here, catch it on the hook up at the top, and then that fits in there, that's all right. Then we'll put the top block there into the back cock and just push it down and it will sit there. We won't pin it in yet. simply because we're going to tie down the back cock first. So that'll hold for the moment. Align the holes on the back cock and the back plate and insert the first screw and twist it down a little bit. It's a bit hard to find, that one. All right, we'll try this one. Yep, we got that guy. Leave that there for a minute. Screw holding screwdriver again. Get it aligned in the slot. Push it down, hold it securely, and then we'll align the hole over here and hope we've got it this time. Still moving around, that should be. Alright, it's going to play hard to get. Alright, what I'll do is I'll put a dentist probe into there to align that, and then I'll tighten up the screw on the other side with a normal screwdriver, lift the back cock up a tiny bit, and then tighten it down. And that hole looks like it's in the right position this time, we hope. See how we go. Yep, that's better. All right, remove that screwdriver. We're not putting it in beat yet. We've got to make a tapered pin that's going to fit in there. That's the one we took out. There's no way we're going to put that back in again. All right, I'll select a tapered pin and make that. You've already seen how to make one. So I'll do that and then I'll come back and we'll put it in. There's a new tapered pin. I'll take it out of the pin vise. That's the smaller end that way. Put it into a pair of pliers. We can get a grip on it and hold it. And then push the suspension spring up into the back cock, because we've got to be able to align the hole on the back cock and the suspension spring like so, so that we can push the tapered pin through. And there we have it. It's not in beat. We'll adjust the back cock later on. You can see it's leaning over to one side. We just want it in there at the moment so we can get all the parts together, then get it oiled, and then we'll put the movement in beat once we put it on a test stand. All right, well, that's got everything in there other than the hammer lever. Well, not the hammer lever, the actual hammer itself. So I'll loosen up that very fine little screw on it, put it back onto the hammer lever or the hammer wire and tighten it down. We'll adjust that once it gets closer to the movement, but in the meantime it's working all right. All right, that's everything now, so we'll do some oiling now. And as I look over here, I'm reminded of the excellent tapered pins we took out of the movement that hold the clock face on. They're a lovely set of tapered pins, so I'll be running through those, making those again later on because they're larger, and I'll be able to show you exactly how I use my tapered pin vise setup. All right, let's do some oiling. All right, we'll use the black oiler this time, load it up with some of our clock oil, and we'll put 2 drops on the end of the winding arbor pivot there. The rest we'll put 1 on as we work our way up the clock. First wheel, that round a bit. Second wheel, I don't think there was very much on there. We'll give it a tiny little bit more. That's better. Third wheel, the escape wheel, which is in under there. That had a tiny bit too much on it. I'll take a little bit of that off. The best way to remove a little bit of excess oil is with a Q-tip. It's gone instantly. Right, we'll put that aside, get back to our oiling, turn the movement round, appear on the back cock, 1 there, on the rack stop lever, and 2 on here, 1 either side. That's all right. And I think we did the escape wheel under there. That's all right. Turn the movement over, and once again, running up the movement. Winding arbor, we'll put 2 on, can run down into it. First wheel, we've got 1 there. We'll put 1 either side of the snail there on the minute arbor, and that'll run down. 1 on the hour wheel in there, and warning wheel there, and the fly, that's the hammer lever. Now we need to get down inside here a bit so we can catch that. We'll just check and make sure everything's done. They're all done. Yeah, we've done the warning wheel, and I don't think we've missed anything there. I think that looks all right for the moment. clock is now on a test stand, and you can hear it's in beat with that huge big long pendulum on it. That'll now sit on my desk for 4 or 5 days, and I'll time it to make sure that the timing is correct, but it is in beat for sure, and you can hear the beat amplifier working on that, making it very easy to hear. And there you can see the escape wheel turning. Alright, we can put the movement back in once I've checked it for time. A huge thank you to my Patreon and YouTube members who make this video possible. Without their kind help, I would not be able to keep this channel alive and to make these videos for a living. I can't thank them enough. If you want to support my channel, join my Patreon or YouTube.